Celebrating the 50th anniversary of the first successful female ascent and descent of Mount Everest, and also mourning the loss of another foreign climber on the mountain. This is Ben Ayers. This is your Daily Dispatch for today, May 16th. Today is the 50th anniversary of the first woman to successfully summit Mount Everest and return. Junko Tabei, a Japanese climber, really revolutionized what people saw was possible for women in mountaineering 50 years ago today. I think so much of the industry that we see now, the relative equality, the growing equality, is all due to a lot of the paths that she forged, not just when she climbed, but in the legacy that she left in the remainder of her career and the remainder of her life. But today, more importantly today, we wanted to share some more sad news. So last night at about between 2 and 3 a.m., a group which was one Indian client and his Sherpa partner, his high altitude worker from here in Nepal, reached the summit of Mount Everest. Upon reaching the summit, the Indian client was exhausted, potentially suffering from hypoxic issues that makes it difficult for you to think straight. But whatever the reason was, as soon as they reached the summit, the client refused to turn around and go down. The Sherpa himself made an incredible, superhuman effort to guide, drag, cajole, do everything he could to get this climber down to safety. The two of them descended in really, really desperate conditions throughout the night. They made it down to around the Hillary Step, where the client then sat down and refused to move any further, to go on without him and save his life. The Sherpa did not obey the client's orders. He stayed with him, continually trying to revive the client, trying to keep him alive until help could come. And unfortunately, he was ultimately unsuccessful. By the time this whole ordeal ended, the Sherpa himself was also in quite a desperate situation in terms of health. By about 7 a.m., with the help of some other people in the arena on the mountain, the Sherpa returned to his camp safely, whereas the client became the second fatality of the year. The outfitter for this most recent incident was Snowy Horizon Treks, which you may remember was the same outfitter that was supporting the Filipino climber, who was the first fatality in this year's climbing season. When I reached out to the company director today to discuss these issues, he gave me the nitty-gritty of what happened in both incidences, why the clients died. And then when I asked him, well, how does this impact your business? How do you feel that the first two foreign deaths on the mountain this year are with your business? Is there something behind this? His answer to me was, this is how things go. It's very difficult in the mountains. I do know that the manager of this company is a very experienced outfitter. They've been around for a long time. But this whole incident with these two fatalities, to me, bring up some questions that I'm sure you all are having about the mountain. And I wanted to spend a few minutes unpacking that, if you don't mind. Basically, I think what it comes down to, it's very easy for journalists like me, it's very easy for people on the outside to immediately say, well, there must be something wrong with the company. And I think that this is a bit of a false flag. There are different levels of services, there are different levels of safety and support that companies can provide, but there are also a lot of clients that are looking for Everest expeditions that are extremely inexpensive. And when you have an inexpensive expedition, you can't afford to have the layers and layers and layers of added security and support that'll keep you safe in a situation like these. I think there's another thing that I've really noticed this season, talking to a lot of climbers, talking to a lot of outfitters, and a lot of Everest clients nowadays are forgetting the fact that Mount Everest is the tallest and one of the very most dangerous mountains in the world. All the statistics prove this. But we see images of the fancy base camps, we see the selfies on the summit, we see the kind of improbable records of climbing Mount Everest multiple times in one season, or dozens of times across one's life. We start to think that maybe Mount Everest isn't so hard after all. But 8,848 meters above sea level is not a joke. It is not the kind of environment that humans can survive in. And it is not the kind of environment that is forgiving if anything goes wrong, be it exhaustion, be it a broken shoelace. And I think a lot of clients that are coming to the mountains sort of put this out of their mind. And that's what I was left with today, thinking about how Everest reminds us how big, how dangerous, and how spectacular this mountain really is. And I think it's something that we would all do well to bear in mind. This is Ben Ayers. We'll talk to you tomorrow.